Hey parents, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited about today's session. I hope you are too. Today is our Q&A session. Remember, we're ending the month of October speaking about the topic of burnout, and that's emotional, physical, and mental burnout. We all know that as parents and guardians, or just people in general, when you have a busy work week, whether you work part-time or full-time, right? And you have a family to manage and you have your own problems you're trying to juggle as well, life can get really hectic, right? So I've set up this monthly Q&A session to give you parents and guardians the opportunity to submit those questions that you may have for me so that I can go ahead and answer them for you and help you through this journey called parenting, right? And I want to just thank you for all of the parents that submitted their questions. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I'm just going to be answering a few questions today. So Tia, mom of three, is asking how to deal with a busy schedule. So she has to juggle the kids' extracurricular activities. Then she also works a full-time job. And then she also has to come home and manage the house, right? She has to juggle all these different duties, and she wants to know how to juggle all these responsibilities without getting overwhelmed. So Tia, I hope you're watching this because I'm going to be answering your question. So first, I want you to remember to prioritize, right? So you want to take some time, write down a list of priorities that you have throughout your week, and then another list of desires, right? Or extracurricular activities that you have or your family has, whether it's your children or even your husband, right? Just as things that you all would like to do, okay? But you want to put your priorities first in that list. And the reason for that is because we force ourselves many times to feel like we have to do everything, right? Everything that our children want to do, everything that we think we should get to, everything that our spouse thinks that we should get to. We feel like we have to take care of all those things in that week, right? When we may need to leave some things for the weekend, like I've spoken to you guys about in previous videos, or you may have to just not do that thing at all that week, right? You may have to remove that task completely out of your schedule for that week because you see that you're not able to get that thing done, right? Because you're going to be stretching yourself too thin. And that's one thing we don't want to do. We want to avoid burnout, right? So Tia, I would encourage you to go ahead and get your phone out and text out the priorities that you have that week. So obviously we know we have to go to work, the kids have to go to school, or maybe we have to go to school because we're also in school as well, right? Maybe taking college courses. If you go to church, you know, for many families, that's a priority. It's a priority for me. So for me, that would be on my list of priorities, right? So you want to go ahead and make that list. And then take your time and write down all of the priorities, cooking, cleaning, whatever you're responsible for within your home, right? And then make another list of wants or desires, things that you would like to get to, things your spouse would like you to get to, things that your children want to do, even curricular activities, right? And then you want to just take a moment and see if you can get assistance with any one of those duties or tasks that you have, even the extracurricular activities, even getting help maybe from friends or family or church members on if they can help with getting your children back and forth to extracurricular activities, right? Because you may not be able to do that. You also want to speak to your spouse and see how they're able to help, right? Or any other family members that you may have that might be willing to assist you. Then you also want to consider this, Tia. It's so important for us to squeeze in family time throughout the week, even if that's dinner time. I really encourage parents to strive for that, you know, on a daily basis, to just have some time where you're spending with your family. If you look at your list and realize, wow, I've written down all of my responsibilities, all the things that are expected of me, all the things that I need to get done, and I see why I'm burned out, right? Many times we don't really see the big picture. We just know what we're feeling. We know we're feeling tired, feeling exhausted in our bodies. We might be feeling stressed out, but we don't really realize all that we're really doing until sometimes we write it out or type it out and we're able to see, wow, this is why I'm so exhausted. This is why I'm so tired. So honestly, I would ask you to ask yourself these two questions after you make your list, right? Your two lists of duties and responsibilities, you know, those things that you need to prioritize and focus on throughout the week. And then the other list of wants, and desires, I would ask you to ask yourself these two questions. Do you need help accomplishing these duties? And do you need to do this, right? Does this thing need to be done? If it's not a need, if it's not something that absolutely has to happen, then you don't have to do it, right? Something else we have to understand as well, and we have to consider, is many times as parents, especially mothers, we can wear ourselves out trying to make everyone else happy around us, and we ourselves are frustrated, right? We ourselves are burning ourselves out. And so I want you to be mindful of this, Tia, that you don't want to burn yourself out. If you see yourself, and you've already shared that you see yourself just tired and worn down, I would encourage you to ask yourself those two questions, right? So if you begin to do those things, I believe that you'll be able to just hone down and focus on those things that really matter throughout your week for you and your family, instead of being pulled in all of these different directions. And hopefully you can get some help with some of the things that you need to get done. But if you're not able to, and something has to be left undone, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're procrastinating. Sometimes it just means that you need to also put your mental health first, right? Even though we put others before ourselves, and that's a good practice, we also need to look out for our own health and our own well-being, right? You have to take care of you. So Tia, I hope you're watching, because I answered your question, okay? Let me know how things work out for you, maybe in the next coming months, and how things have gotten better for you, okay? So Tiana, a working mom that lives in Texas here, she's a mother of one child. She's having co-parenting issues, and her question is, how do I deal with my son's father? He does things on purpose to get me upset, and I also have issues with my son coming home repeating things that he's heard from his father. So yeah, I know that's a tough situation, and thank you again for submitting your question. So number one, you want a purpose to not put your child in the middle of you and the other parent that you're co-parenting with, right? So I know you said that when he comes home with you, you find him repeating things that he heard from the other parent. So you want to definitely address that right away when it does happen. So let's say he comes home and he tells you something that was said, right? You want to stop him and say, hey, don't say that, right? Don't repeat anything that you heard your dad say. I don't want you worrying about that. And then you move on. You literally move on. You move on to a different subject. So how was your day at school? Or how was your day today? Or just change the subject and get on something else. You don't want to entertain that, because that can also cause you to get frustrated, to even help you to get more burned out throughout the week. Because I know that we spoke before, and you said that you were experiencing burnout on all levels, right? Emotionally, physically, and mentally, right? Because you're a single mom. Any single moms out there, I hope you're tuning into this, because this is going to help you, especially if you're having co-parenting issues and dealing with the other parent that you're sharing a child with. So you definitely don't want to entertain that, and you want to address it. And tell your child, even if you have to sit them down, I don't want you to repeat anything that you hear your dad say about me, okay? Here's a word of wisdom. You want to make sure to keep your ears open, and you always want to be praying about everything. And this is why I say that sometimes children hear things, and sometimes they're trying to tell you something that is really important, because it can help protect you or protect them. So don't automatically shut down the child and stop them from saying what they're saying. But if you hear that it's gossip, stop it, right? But if they're saying, no, I really have something to tell you, they said they're going to hurt you, or they said if they see you again, they're going to do this or that. If there are threats that are coming back from that parent, then that's something you need to take note of. And they could have said it jokingly, but you never want to take things for granted. So you don't want the child to continue to talk about that issue or that problem, but you may want to give that other parent a call and just let them know, hey, you know what? I need you to be careful with the things that you're saying around our son, and I'm going to do the same thing. So that's how you handle that. Also, if you're in a situation where you don't know how that other parent is handling your child, you don't know if they're going to be aggressive or they're going to be angry and take out their anger on the child. You may not want to call them and tell them, I need you to stop saying things around our child because they're repeating it. You may get them in trouble. You don't know what might happen to them when they go back into the care of that parent, right? So you may want to say something like, hey, I just need you to know if you ever need to talk to me about something, if you don't like the way that I'm doing something, I need you to just communicate that with me and not send any messages through our child. I'm going to do the same thing for you. If I have an issue, I have a problem, I'm going to go through you. I'm not going to go through them, right? This can help set a standard of how you want the communication to be, because our children should not be in the middle of our mess, right? Whether we're married or whether we're co-parenting. We don't want our children to be put in the middle of any disagreements or anything like that. And as far as the other parent doing things that irritate you, or they're intentionally doing things to upset you, I know that can be frustrating, right? Many times people just have not moved on. Sometimes they still have feelings for you and want to still be with you, and you've moved on, but they have not, right? So sometimes the fact that you've moved on upsets them, frustrates them, and they want to do things to kind of get under your skin. Because if you've moved on from someone, you don't want to waste the energy to even try to upset them or frustrate them. But a lot of times parents deal with this when they're in a co-parenting situation. They deal with these problems. So don't give attention to things that they do. And then Tiana submitted a second question. How do you deal with your child if they are continuously rebelling? As far as that question, Tiana, you want to make sure that you're showing consistency in love, in guidance, and also in discipline, right? So when you have a child that is constantly rebelling, you don't really know why they're rebelling. You don't know if they're having issues at school or at daycare. You don't know if they're having problems with the other parent that they're staying with and if they're being mistreated or anything like that, right? Or neglected in any way. You don't know the things that are going on with them internally, right? Children go through things just like we go through things. They go through many different emotional changes and things like that. We want to make sure to give that support at home when they get out from school or from daycare and you guys are together. Make sure you make some time for them. You put aside some time to just talk to them about their day, ask them how they're feeling, if there's anything bothering them, right? You want to make sure to show them that love and concern, that affection. You may want to grab them and hold them. You may want to give them a kiss on the forehead. You may want to let them know, hey, you know what? I'm still here for you, right? I know that you're having a difficult time right now, but I'm here for you, right? So you want to show that consistency in love and attention and also guidance, right? You want to give them guidance. If you see them doing something they should not do, maybe they're angry and you see them kicking and punching a wall, you want to tell them, okay, stop that. Come here, let's talk, right? And you talk to them about what they're going through. See if they'll open up to you, right? Sit there and listen to them and be willing to guide them in the right way. You may want to tell them, I see you're angry. What are you upset about? And let them share with you if they open up. And then give them a way that they can deal with their anger other than kicking and punching the wall. You know, when you're angry, I want you to do this. I want you to go pray. Or I want you to come say, Mommy, I'm having a hard time. Can you talk to me? Can we talk? Can we pray together? And after you all pray, they may want to talk some more. Or they may want to cry. And you may have to stop what you're doing and hold them and let them cry. Even if you're in the middle of something, you're busy cooking dinner or you're busy cleaning the house or something like that. If they need you, then you have to be there for them, right? And also discipline. We want to love our children. We need to give them that attention and support that they need. We also want to guide them in the right direction that they should go, but we don't want to spoil them, right? So we have to bring that discipline. Let's say your child is upset, Tiana, and you see him kicking chairs down or throwing his toys, or he walks by the kitchen counter and there's some papers and different things on there and he just throws everything on the floor. Well, he had an outburst, so you need to address that, right? You may tell him, son, I need you to pick that up. He may say no, or he may look at you like, I'm not going to pick that up. You can't just turn your back and just say, oh, he's just so stubborn, and just keep cooking your dinner or doing whatever you were doing, right? And you definitely should not leave from what you're doing and go and pick up the mess that he just made. He needs to understand that when he's upset, he can't just lash out and just start throwing things and kicking things, right? Because if you teach him he can do that now and it's acceptable now, then when he gets to be a grown man, then he will do the same thing, right? But now he'll end up going to jail for kicking things and throwing things because he can end up hurting people or damaging property. Or even when he's an adolescent, if he continues to do that, he can end up spending time in juvenile hall, right? And start developing a bad record for himself because he doesn't know how to handle his emotions. So if you want him to learn discipline, you have to teach him discipline, right? You have to discipline him. You may spank him, right? Don't do it when you're angry. Any parent, I would tell you, don't do anything when you're angry. Don't even sit down and speak to your child when you're angry. You need to go and calm down first, because if you don't calm down and you're speaking to your child, you're going to end up saying things that you'll regret, right? You don't want to do anything when you're angry. And also when you're administering punishment, right? You don't want to physically discipline your child at all when you're angry or frustrated. Even giving punishments, when we discipline our children, we don't want to give punishments when we're angry because they can be extensive, they can be too harsh. There is such a thing as being too harsh, just like there's such a thing as being too lenient, right? Just like a judge, we understand that with a judge, right? A judge can be too lenient with his sentence, and sometimes he can be too harsh. So he has to be mindful of that. So as parents, we have to be mindful. Even when we see our child needs discipline, because they're only going to learn discipline if we teach them, right? Disciplined. And that means through correction. And that means disciplining them even physically, spanking them. Now, there are some people that don't agree with that. And that's your choice if you don't want to spank your child. And there are other ways to discipline your child, but that is definitely a very effective way. I didn't say abuse your child. I said spank your child, right? There is a difference. If your child cannot get up the next morning and go to school because they're in so much pain, they're bleeding, they have sores all over them, they're getting infections because after you whip them, they're just going through in their body so much, that is abuse, right? But you definitely want your discipline to be effective. If you need some help with this, if you need some guidance with this, go ahead and reach out to me. I just want to pause for a moment and let you know, if you are a parent that's dealing with any one of these issues, reach out to me. Let me know. My information will be in the description box below, because I definitely need you to know how to confidently discipline your child, how to confidently deal with your child if they're constantly rebelling towards you, and how to get over that sense of frustration and anger as you're dealing with them, right? You want to be in a place where you can handle the issues that are coming at you, because many times when you're dealing with a child that's very rebellious, it can be very frustrating, right? It can be extremely draining as well. All you're trying to do is help them get better and they keep fighting back. Then that can cause a lot of stress, right? Mentally, emotionally, and physically. So Tiana, I hope you're watching. Write down these answers because they are going to help you, because you're going to see significant change within your son. I am very confident in that. Our last question here is from Shelly. She's a mother of two. She's a working mother of two. Her question is, how can I get my children to be consistent with a schedule without having to redirect them all the time? And when they get home, because when they get home, things change with their father. So Shelly, this is a very common issue, right? A very common issue amongst parents. And the biggest issue is miscommunication. So number one, what I want to tell you is sit down with your spouse and let him know the schedule that you have set out for your children, right? And you want to talk to him in detail about the schedule. Listen to him on if he has any concerns, any input, right? You want to let him know how important it is that they stick to the schedule as well. You definitely want to let him know, I need the children to be more responsible, right? So holding them accountable to getting different duties done throughout the day is going to help them to be more responsible. It's going to help us to relax more, right? So we can spend more time together. The most important thing, Shelly, is that you and your husband are on the same page. You definitely don't want to be saying one thing and then he's saying another thing, right? And that's what's happening right now. You have a certain schedule set up. I don't know if your husband knows the schedule or not that you need the children to stick to. And even if he does know the schedule, you definitely need to sit down with him and let him know how important it is that they stick to this schedule. Also, let him know how it's affecting you. When you get off of work, how you're feeling. You may want to tell him, hey, you know what? When I get off of work, I'm tired, right? I'm sure you're tired too, but I'm tired. And when I get home, I don't get to rest because I have to cook. And then I have to make sure the kids are doing all the different duties that they should have had done already. But now when I get home, I can't go rest for a little bit because I have to make sure that they're getting things done, right? When they could have had these things done already. Now I can't even spend the time I want to with you because I have to be on my feet, making sure the kids are doing everything they're supposed to be doing. So you definitely want to let your husband know that you need his help, right? Ask him, can you support me with this process? Can you help me to make sure that if you get home before me, that the children are doing their daily routine? Then I want you to take it a step further, Shelly, and I want you to type out or clearly write out the duties and responsibilities for each child. So you want to put the name of the child and then their duties, and then the other name of the child and then their duties, right? You want to simplify the list as much as possible so that it's easy to read. Then you want to put that list in a general area where everyone will see it. Maybe somewhere in the kitchen or somewhere in a hallway or somewhere where everyone can see that you've posted this list, right? This daily routine. And then you want to get the children and go through it with them. See if they have any questions, right? I have done this myself, and I'm telling you, this has helped my life go so much smoother. I actually have a board in my kitchen. That's where I chose to put it because everyone uses the kitchen all the time. Every day, everyone's going into the kitchen. So if my children forget what they need to do, whether it's their morning schedule I've set up or their after school schedule or even their night schedule, they know to go to the board and see, right? And Shelly, one of the things that you mentioned was, how do I teach my children to be consistent with their schedule? They will learn how to be consistent with their schedule when you're consistent, right? When you and your husband are consistent, right? You may have been trying this whole time to be consistent with your children, but you've been having trouble with your husband getting on board, right? But now, after you discuss with him the issues you're having and the help that you need and the routine that you want for the children, then now both of you can come together and make sure this is getting done, right? So it's a team effort. You're not burning yourself out throughout the week trying to make sure everything is done, but you can maybe have a little more time to relax during the week and maybe a little more time with your husband if you need more time with him, right? Or sometimes just even more family time, right? If everyone gets all their duties done in time, you all may be able to spend more time with each other if you need more time with one another as well. Okay, everybody. So thank you again, everyone who submitted your questions. I really enjoyed this session. Remember, if you want to work with me, go ahead and reach out to me. My information will be in the description box below. I really enjoyed you parents today. Take care. Bye.